President of the Healthy Harrison Board of Directors. And I have with me today Brock Malcolm, who is our co-host. Brock is our Vice President of Healthy Harrison and also a local healthcare attorney. We're streaming this program live on the Healthy Harrison Facebook page as well as on the statewide distribution network of our media partner, WestVirginiaNews.com. Every week at this time, we chat with individuals who, in their personal or professional lives, or sometimes both, share the mission of Healthy Harrison. That being to foster measurable improvements to the health and well-being of the people in North Central West Virginia. I'd like to give a big thank you to our sponsors right now at WVU Medicine United Hospital Center, West Virginia University, the State Journal, WestVirginiaNews.com, Interaction Media, Stonewall Coffee Shop, and Harrison Economic Development Corporation. Additionally, we are pleased to recognize that our silver podcast sponsor for the month of August is Regional Eye Associates. Regional Eye has been caring for residents of Harrison County for nearly 20 years. During that time, the physicians and team have provided individualized eye care to tens of thousands of patients. These local physicians feel that the privilege to continue to serve the community and to provide life-changing treatments. At Regional Eye, the focus is exceptional patient care, close to home but far from average. Trust your sight to Regional Eye Care. Today, our guests are Dr. Muthu, who's a lifestyle medicine, and Dr. Gwen Emery, Program Director of Finding Wellness. Welcome to both of you today.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
So you have great bios. I can read them, or I can turn it over to you and have you each explain a little bit about yourself. So we'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Sure.
Dr. Muthu?
Yes. So I'm originally from India and from a city called Chennai, and I came here for residency to the UPMC Med School Department of Internal Medicine, and followed by going into fellowship for pulmonary and critical care. I started at University of Iowa and then moved on to Cleveland Metro Health, Case Western, and went on to start my first job in Bronx, New York, in Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Jacobi Medical Center. Actually, that was when COVID was at its peak, and we were in New York, and that was one of the first cities to, have the peak in the U.S. So, and following which, my wife was looking for a J1 visa waiver job, which is a relatively underserved area that we have to serve as part of our commitment to India. And that's when we actually looked for West Virginia and some of the underserved parts of the country. And we were so pleased to find United Hospital Center, and we've been here for about 2 years now. So I'm a pulmonologist and critical care, and my wife is an oncologist.
Welcome to both of you then.
Absolutely. And along with this, during my fellowship, I had there are certain real life experiences that have happened in each of our lives, and that, so in my life, that got me closer towards one of the newer facets of medicine, which is lifestyle medicine. So that's where I got into American College of Lifestyle Medicine. So I'm boarded as a diplomat of American Board. And following which, I also have trained in Ayurveda, which is one of the other forms of lifestyle medicine that originates from India. And so I'm a certified health coach with Ayurveda as well. So, and that's where I'm trying to beautifully amalgamate both pulmonary medicine and lifestyle medicine, and that's why I'm here with you all, sharing the same goals.
Great. Interesting.
Thanks
Thank
so much.
you. Dr. Gwen Emery?
I've been a board-certified family physician for 40 years, and actually started my married life in West Virginia, and then went and was trained in Rochester, New York, and first in North Carolina, then Rochester, and then we spent 16 years in Cleveland, Ohio. I had an opportunity to come back to West Virginia and join WVU Medicine at Cheat Lake Family Physicians and practiced there for 20 years. So about half of my career was at Cheat Lake. For me, being a family doc, wellness is just natural. It's what we do. We care for our patients, kind of the whole patient. Starting this program, which I started 6 years ago, just kind of came out of finding that there was a great need in West Virginia and really no place for doctors to refer patients. So started the program, and have been running it ever since.
Well, you talk about wellness, but it really has been a cultural shift within medicine, from treating the sick to trying to promote wellness. And so, having people, when they're not in the doctor's office, working on themselves, improving diet, improving exercise, improving mental health to really aspire to a higher level of wellness. So maybe we could start with you. And so what inspired you to create the program of non-pharmacological approaches to healthcare that you've called Finding Wellness Initiative?
I think a lot of people, and this is not only people in West Virginia, but patients come to doctors' offices either with medical problems or knowing that their family has a history of medical problems, and they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with their medical problems. They're overwhelmed with their life. They have economic needs. They're just trying to make a living. Trying to find food. I mean, food insecurity is such a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
And how to grasp a change is an overwhelming thought for them. And trying to help them realize that that is a possibility was my passion as a family physician. The other thing is resources for that are very limited, because even though there has been a slight cultural shift, medicine really makes its money on disease. It doesn't make its money on wellness right now. I think the tide is turning. It's very exciting for me to see the tide turn, but it hasn't totally turned.
Right.
So there are not free programs to help people, which is why I wanted to start Finding Wellness, because I wanted something free in West Virginia.
Well, Amy and I've heard many people on this podcast talk about the social determinants of health, and we know from the homelessness issue that we've been talking about in the past here, it's so hard to worry about your health when you can't meet those basic needs, the Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? You have to have a safe place to live, and you have to have food, and before you can start worrying about walking 10,000 steps a day. So what can you offer to people who are watching in terms of how they could begin to access these resources in your program?
So first of all, I want to say that I think you have to flip it. Okay, you have to flip your thoughts. That understandably you're overwhelmed, but think of it as a gift. Most people spend their lives taking care of others. They take care of their children, they take care of their parents, they take care of their grandchildren, they take care of others, they take care of friends, but they don't think that maybe taking care of themselves for a moment would be useful, and by taking care of themselves they become better caretakers of those around them. And how to do that, right? How to take a small step in your life and take care of yourself. So that's what the program tries to do. Educate people that taking a couple minutes in their life, and that's, drinking an extra glass of water. It doesn't have to be an overwhelming thing. Just a little something as a gift to yourself, and then feel proud of yourself for doing that, because that's half of it, right?
Yeah.
Look what I did. I made a difference. I drank an extra glass of water first thing in the morning. Good for me.
Yeah.
Most people think of change in a very negative way. Change can be very positive. It could be exciting.
Yeah.
And once you make that decision in your head, okay, I'm going to do something for myself, you embrace wellness. I don't think I really answered your question.
No,
I
it's
kinda-
powerful.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Dr.
No, it's
Gupta.
super powerful. In fact, what I have learned from her, because ever since I started looking for people around me, because I got board certified in lifestyle medicine, and now I needed a group of people who are doing the same things around me. And then I found her and Dr. Laura Davison. They're part of the Finding Wellness and the Medical Weight Management program at WVU. And just that statement of self-care, or just spending that extra minute for yourself, people don't feel the reward of doing that until they actually do it, and until they're told to ponder about themselves. Have you wondered, what it means to go out for a fresh walk, nature walk? And once they start doing it, they actually feel the reward, and they come back home. Wow, that was such a simple thing that I did, but it is so powerful. And that's when you start making habits, because the more you do something repetitively, that's when it starts becoming a part of yourself, and you don't feel comfortable not doing it anymore, right? So small changes, adding one additional thing to do per day, goes a long way in changing a person's perspective over time, because nothing can be done overnight. And so I've learned so much from Dr. Emery, because I do refer patients from my clinic, because my clinic is pretty busy with biopsies for lung cancer, COPD, and asthma, who are super sick, talking about inhalers, injections for shots called Fasenra, and all these medications. So, but along with these things, I say, what, I'm going to request you to consider adding this one particular thing to your life, and I'm going to have you meet one amazing person called Dr. Emery, and I refer them to the program, and they have come back to me saying, I wish I did this 10 years back. And so along with all these, medical things that I spend time on, what I try to do is just find an opportunity to ask what's going on in your social life, because social life is where disease starts. And therefore, you have to go back to social life to find the solution, right? So both healthcare or wellness and disease care is actually starts from home. And that's where I try to learn their stories and try to make them understand, now I know why I'm having this kind of a symptom. And so they start slowing down. And the next time they do the same thing, whatever is causing their stressful moment, they say, you know what? Dr. Muthu said, why don't you try this? And a simple thing I'll share with you. We are so good at jumping from one task to another, because we are very passionate. The natural tendency of human being is to move. And all I say, tell my patients is, before you move from one task to another, just sit down for just 1 second and just close your eyes. Just a sigh breath. And that breath is so powerful, because you've not voluntarily had a breath for the last so many minutes. It's been an involuntary breathing process. And we have to pay attention to our breath. And that gives so much power to our mind, the control of the mind, and so on. So such simple things that we add to their lives goes a big way into their life. So
Are these considered basic components of the program? And you talked about the micro habits, the tiny habits, and the breathing. Are these all components?
My program?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we focus on something called smarter goals. It's, a pretty common concept, which is choosing very small, specific goals that you can measure and that you could achieve. I mean, you're not going to achieve a marathon, right?
Right.
You're going to achieve walking to the mailbox. Realistic for you, if there are bears around your house, and we have had a participant who won't walk, because she goes, there are bears, I'm not walking. And I'm like, we get that. Maybe that's not your goal.
Right.
And timely. What can you do? What can you actually do in a week? So, drinking 8 ounces of water once a day, it's very specific. It's very measurable. You have a cup that's 8 ounces. It's achievable. It's realistic. And if you do that every day, you're going to do that for a week. If you say, I'm going to now drink 36 ounces of water more every day, that's like, are you kidding me? I'm going to have to go to the bathroom all day long. That's not something that you're going to want to do. So you got to pick it so you can do it. Or I have to lose 20 pounds in the next 2 weeks because my daughter's getting married. It's not going to happen. That's a bad goal. But if you say, well, I can do this or this, you have to know your own circumstances and what speaks to you. You're not going to do something that doesn't speak to you. I think that a lot of people when they come to our program, we ask why. Why did you come to the program? And if they say, because my doctor sent me, that's like, okay, but is there a reason you want to come? We want to know your reason for wanting to change. Because if you're changing for your doctor, it's not going to be sustainable. You need to find out what it is inside of you. Do you want to see your daughter graduate from high school? That's a good reason to come, right? Is your grandson, are you responsible for your grandson now? Because there are a lot of people, parents who are now responsible for their grandchildren. Do you need to stay around for them? That's a good reason. Are you caring for elderly parents? Do you want to be functional for that? That's a good reason. But for your doctor, don't do it for that.
So it's very tailored.
Yeah.
To the
Very
individual.
tailored. Yeah, you have to make it very personal and very tailored.
So how did you two connect for this program, or where did you meet?
It was so I started looking out for people who are in the same wavelength of lifestyle medicine, and Dean Ornish, Dr. Dean Ornish, is the founder or one of the founders of this board and committee that started collecting data and publications to have a solid foundation behind marketing lifestyle, because just like pharmacies and farm industries beautifully market disease care, he is one of the few people who has marketed lifestyle, and that's where I got really intrigued by the concept of publishing simple data. For example, standing extra 2 hours per day is associated with reduction of 10% mortality. Standing 5 hours per day as against sitting has 20% reduction in cardiovascular mortality. So such simple things that touch the hearts of people in an easier manner, those all come from lifestyle medicine. And so when I found this certification program, I completed it, and then I wanted an outlet to actually share this with patients. But then my clinic is super busy with regular pulmonary disease care, and so that's when I said, I need a group of people who can do this along with me, and I want to do it in a seasoned manner. And so I always want to learn how people are doing it, because I've had feedback from whenever you have 100 patients, there's always at least 10 to 20 patients who don't receive things well because of the way you communicate. And so that's where I said, I need to learn. I cannot miss those 20 patients. What am I doing wrong? And that's when I started seeking for help. I found her, Dr. Davison, and then there's one more lifestyle medicine person, Dr. Jennifer Lulchik. So they have a big group working there at Ruby, and so that's when I emailed Dr. Emery and Davison, and so they're doing a monthly Zoom call amongst all of us, and I totally love it. I get to hear all the projects that are going on, and she'll actually tell you about the cafeteria project that she's working on or already accomplished. So such small things that make me really excited. And I share with my patients what I learned from around, and then they do it on their themselves.
That's great. I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, we have a wellness collaboration. So it was about a year ago. A lot of us at the university, we know each other, but we weren't connected. So just like you said, the tide is turning toward wellness, combining our efforts and making the university aware that we're all there is important and helps with the focus on wellness.
And one of the, when I bumped into Healthy Harrison podcast or Change Your State podcast, the first thing I actually saw was the 5 pillars that you guys have. And guess what? I have been writing a book, and the name of the book, Move, Digest, Rest. At least 3 of them actually connect completely with you guys. And that's when I said, man, how did I not know that there's somebody who's doing literally the same thing in an amazing manner? So I really, really applaud you guys for what you're doing. And so Move, Digest, Rest, and there's 2 more that I have in my Connect and Purpose. So these are usually the 5, just like you call micro goals or pillars. These are the pillars in my clinic, and there are 6 pillars in American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and the 6th is avoidance of substance use. So I try to ask patients, hey, how much are you moving? do you spend time digesting your food? You're spending time on eating, but then you immediately carry on to your next, thing of tasks that you do. And are you actually spending time to sit and digest not just the food, digest your thoughts, what you've been thinking about all during the day? You've gone through certain stressful experience during the day. Have you sat down and digested what's happened? And then resting. We're so good at moving our mind and resting the body. And I asked them, have you wondered how it feels to rest the mind and move the body instead? Simple nature walk. That's the way I start. Connection. Connecting with people is so important because you get a chance to vent out your feelings. What are the things that are happening in your own life? And that's when you get support, because I think lack of social support is one of the, at least one of the powerful influencers when it comes to chronic disease, because mental health and physical health go, hand in hand. And finally, as she was saying, purpose. If you find a purpose every day and set a short-term goal and a long-term goal.
Okay, we'll take a commercial break. We want to thank our sponsors, Western Medicine United Hospital Center, West Virginia University, the State Journal, WestVirginiaNews.com, Interaction Media, Stonewall Coffee Shop, Harrison Economic Development Corporation, and this month's Silver Podcast sponsor is Regional Eye Associates. So thank you to all of them.
So, Dr. Emery, we talked about COVID and telehealth being one of the great things that came out of that. One of the things that we saw, particularly in this community, that was particularly negative was the isolation and the loss of the sense of community. People couldn't go out, and they found themselves just staying at home and often getting depressed. One of the things we've worked on, and it sounds like you're working on the same sort of thing, is to try to create that sense of community around health and living healthier, wellness, and in that, providing not just support but also really hands-on coaching and why don't you talk a little bit about the program and how people can not just join but also really dive in and be involved in that journey.
So, I think the classes themselves allow connection. The problem is you've got a full week between class to class. So we encourage people to also connect with a spouse, a friend, a significant other for accountability partners. So as they choose their smarter goal, once again, which is really specific, then either have someone in your household, someone you call, a friend, just talk about the goal so it's stated. If you never state the goal or write down the goal, you're never going to do the goal. You've got to really say, I'm going to walk to the mailbox 3 times this week. And then share with your accountability partner how you're doing at midweek. So I've done it twice. I only have one more time. I've got the weekend to make it to the mailbox. So I think it's not only important to connect in the class, but also to connect during the week. And our goal is also in a year to add coaches to the class, because it's been shown in many different studies that regardless of the diet, because we don't use the word diet in our program, we don't like people to remove things out of what they eat. We like them to add things to what they eat. So don't think that by coming to Finding Wellness, we're going to say, you can never have bread again. We'd rather have you add a vegetable to your day. How can you do that? So don't think of removing, more like adding. And then the healthcare coaches, when we get them, will be able to coach you. But in the meantime, you can have a partner in your journey. And then maybe encourage your partner to do a little bit of wellness.
Yeah, so often people want to, as you said in the beginning, they're overwhelmed. They want to do better, but they just don't know how to do it or what will be effective. And so by setting these, what we've called throughout our podcast, micro goals, little things, bite-sized changes that they can easily adopt, that over time those really add up and make huge changes.
Right, and I think the biggest thing is up here, right? Some people just aren't ready. They're just not ready. Some people are thinking about it. That's good. It's good to think about it. If you're thinking about it, maybe you're willing to try, right? But if you don't even want to think about it and you set up that wall, it's probably not the right time for you. But if you start thinking about it, there's a possibility. And then I would recommend that you come to a program and see what speaks to you. You need to find out what speaks to you, what goals speak to you, and then feel good about reaching those goals.
Can you tell us about your, I'm sorry.
Those are actually parts of motivational interviewing. We use the 5 A's: ask, assess, assist, advise. So trying to find where they are at. Are they in the contemplative stage, even when it comes to smoking cessation? If they're not in the action phase, go back one step. Are they contemplating about it? Are they preparing for it? Because you have to prepare before you do something like smoking cessation. Otherwise, you're bound to fail, right? So you give them the support system of, okay, you are likely to gain weight, but then you can compensate for that by adding one more new thing into your life, which is trying to spend 10 minutes outside in the patio so that you're automatically tempted towards walking around. And that's where, just like she was trying to find a community of people to help, pulmonary rehab is what I've been using for my patients, whether it's COPD, pulmonary fibrosis, restrictive lung disease, which is a part of the physiological parameter that comes from obesity, and then things like pulmonary hypertension, asthma. These are the common diagnoses which, Medicare and all these insurances they allow people to enroll in pulmonary rehab. And COVID was a big problem when it came to having people in groups in pulmonary rehab. And we struggled, and that's when, we got the best out of media. So we started virtual pulmonary rehabs. From some parts of the country, we were able to use that. People made modules on YouTube we could share with patients. But finally, COVID had slowed down, and then our hospitals have resumed pulmonary rehab. So right there, we have about 10 to 15 people with different kinds of pulmonary diseases coming together, watching each other on the stationary bike and treadmill, huffing and puffing, but still they do it. And that motivation, that's so amazing. I feel, and I go in the middle of clinic, I go down there and just talk to Miss Angelina Davis, which I am hoping she will also be on this podcast at some point of time, because she is, taking care of so many of our patients in this region and changing the lives of them. We know Christy Gannon from Stonewall Jackson, who's done amazing work with pulmonary rehab. So, and I work with Elkins people, Denise Hammond from Davis Medical Center. So I choose patients where they're coming from. I find the nearest pulmonary rehab. Even if it's not part of WV Medicine, I say, it's okay, why don't you go there? And then Webster Springs, I have a pulmonary rehab. So I literally went search of West Virginia's map, found all pulmonary rehab, and that's when I found Copo Foundation, and they have pulmonary rehab, and we're trying to collaborate with them in Project Echo and all that with WV Medicine. So with pulmonary rehab, the moving part of the lifestyle changes comes in, and once you do that, they are in the right kind of mindset and wavelength, same kind of people who are thinking about diet, exercise, sleep, hygiene, and all that. So once you get in the group, they start hearing about the same kind of things, the healthier habits. So that's where community helps a lot, and pulmonary rehab is my get-go.
Well, I was curious about participants. How do you target your participants? What are you looking for in them? How do you find them?
We don't target. It's open, it's free. They just have to call 293-2604. So we get referrals from healthcare providers. So anyone in any institution could put a referral in on the electronic medical record. But self-referrals are also a commonplace for us to get. So anyone who calls up can be registered.
Any age?
Any age. Well, no, 18 and above.
Okay.
So what we do is we request 3 things. We want their height and weight, and we pay for an A1C. So an A1C is a blood draw, it gives you your average blood glucose over time. A lot of people in West Virginia have prediabetes or diabetes. And it is a measure for us to see how they do, those people. And sometimes we've identified people with illness and they didn't even know they had it. So we do that. We do the blood draw at onset of the program and 3 months afterwards to see things. So we have data. We have 6 years of data to see how we've done with people's weight and their blood glucoses. So, but it's all on our dime. So it, once again, does not cost anything.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Dr. Muthu alluded to the cafeteria program. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I just wanted to do more. I've always what could I do more? If any of you go into cafeterias in hospitals, it isn't always the healthiest. That's an understatement. You kind of get bashed by bags of chips.
A lot of pizza and hot dogs.
Yeah.
Carbs,
Well,
yes.
I have to admit that WVU Medicine Cafeteria has really made some large strides. They don't fry foods. They are working towards that. We got a program set up where all employees, if they buy 3 waters, they get their 4th free.
Nice.
And if they buy 3 fruits, they get their 4th fruit free. And we're working, there's dietary interns to create healthier recipes. So there are options, and the goal is to put green circles on the healthier options in the cafeteria. Just starting at Ruby, it's just the beginning, small steps, small goals,
yes.
very specific. It does involve a lot of moving parts. So it's been my latest little endeavor.
Well, every bit helps. That's
It
great.
does.
I think whatever helps. Yeah.
Well, I think we're about out of time, but we really appreciate having Dr. Emery and Dr. Muthu. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
We are
great.
having actually a fun pickleball event in September for World Lung Day for the COPD Foundation. And so we're super excited. UHC, WV Medicine, we're trying to get more people to collaborate, and we'll probably also most likely be welcoming you to join us. Carolyn Gaynor from West Virginia COPD Foundation is leading us. And Harrison County Pickleball Association is so amazing. We play in the Veterans City Park in Clarksburg during summer and fall, and then at the bridge.
Yeah, there's a lot of
By the
pickleball
way,
at the bridge.
Great.
By the way, the bridge is the best blessing for Bridgeport and probably even Morgantown, Fairmont, and all that. So a lot of doctors from our hospital are examples because they're there, and patients, when they see doctors, that's like, ooh, that's cool. So yeah, we would love to have you for the pickleball event, and we're hoping to have some of our employees also start learning pickleball. It's a super fun game, and a lot of COPD people are actually starting to use this game. So anything that can get people out, we're super excited. And so that's when I met Mr. Nardelli when I was looking for collaborations, and I'm super excited, and I'm really privileged to be part of this podcast.
Yeah,
Great. Well,
we'll
thank you both.
look
Finding
forward to a
wellness.
relationship with you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's been
Such
great.
a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone else for joining us today for the Healthy Harrison podcast. It is our goal to change your state of mind and ultimately change the state of health here and throughout North Central West Virginia. If you want more help right now, please visit thehealthyharrison.org or visit Healthy Harrison Facebook page and give us a like. You'll find lots of support, and you can even stream some of our past episodes of our podcast on the Facebook page. Again, we want to thank our sponsors, WVU Medicine United Hospital Center, West Virginia University, the State Journal, WestVirginiaNews.com, Interaction Media, Stonewall Coffee, Harrison Economic Development Corporation, and Regional Eye Associates, our silver sponsor of the month of August. So on behalf of Healthy Harrison, Brock and I thank all of you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.